And that's a good segue to Elliot Aronow.
Oh, I
so
just walk on after you say Bob Dylan.
And that's a good place we could start. Just
Great,
like, if you have to start with music or the power of music, he's a good person to show for it.
For sure. Well, thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
So tell me about record label, RCRDLBL, which is, it's half something and half something. It's it's both a record label and you have free music. So it's like a social community?
Well, it's a website for first and foremost.
I'm not really up on my web jargon.
But I guess at the sort of core of it, it's kind of a union of a great music blog and a great independent record label. So I could go on for quite some time, but I'll break it down to sort of the most core elements. So, like a music blog, we post tracks every day and give them away and let consumers, users have them for free. Mm-hmm. However, like a label, we have a roster of artists whose work can only be found on our site. It won't be on CDs or on vinyl or on iTunes. We sort of blend those two elements to create a model where the music is free, the artists still get paid. We have a whole bunch of our favorite labels who are on the site who, blog regularly and give away tracks and sort of, interface with all of the people who come to our site every day. Basically, just out of curiosity.
I have a question.
Sure.
If they're not on CD or vinyl and only available in digital form, what about when the artist is touring and things like that? But you could just say, hey, check out this site. It's all on there.
Yeah, we're kind of experimenting with different ways to have sort of more takeaway elements, but we've only been around for a few months. So
you were at South by Southwest.
I was indeed, as was record label.
I remember getting like a iTunes download card. That could be an interesting idea. Not to pitch you ideas.
Oh no!
But how was South by Southwest? Speaking of that,
it was really exciting. I had been down there for about 5 years and really have seen it kind of grow from, mostly kind of music geeks and industry to basically a whole crop of new people who come every year.
Well, isn't the industry more now just the people involved rather than the major record labels anyway?
I would say so. I think that there's a lot of people out there who, don't necessarily go to like the official South by Southwest things, but instead go down to Austin, get a hotel room, and just kind of enjoy the whole experience. Because kind of the interesting thing that's happened is that one half of it is sort of the official sanctioned stuff. Like a label will do a proper showcase from 8 a.m. to midnight, and then there's this kind of whole other world of magazines and brands and independent promoters and DJs who basically book their own version of like what they would want to see at South by Southwest. So it's kind of fun in that regard.
Next year is going to be like a week longer. It feels like it could sustain itself.
It could sustain itself. I don't think the attendees could sustain themselves.
Well, there could be like 2 shifts, like an Adult Swim at the end.
The early and the late.
I would like to hear some of your favorite bands that you're sort of into now.
Sure. Some of the stuff that I've been really excited about. I try as much as possible to reflect it on record label, in whatever way that I can. But some of the stuff that I've been really excited about is. One of our artists, Jacques Renault, who was a guest on your show a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Very fun guy.
He and a community of other kind of producers and labels are doing, I think, a really interesting take on sort of contemporary disco music and taking the idea of the like the disco editor, the disco remix, and sort of turning it on its head, to make it a little bit more, I guess, contemporary, you would say. But people like Jacques, there's a group called Holy Ghost who I really, really like. They have a great single called Hold On, which you could stream on record label.
Is the industry getting more single oriented now? Because there's so many bands, it's harder for a band to necessarily push an album out there, whereas it could just be posted on a blog.
I think it's interesting because what we're seeing right now is like a really monumental shift in the way that music is not only distributed but consumed, and I think that people's attention spans, for better or worse, really gravitate towards their favorite songs. I mean, there's been a big kind of ongoing discussion about what the iTunesification has done to the music business,
and American Idol, where they'll cover a catalog one night.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think I think a lot of artists now, especially as everything is changing, understand the value of a great single. It's not much different from how it was in 1962. I mean, you just get those two great songs, and that's really your introduction to the world at large. And I think also, as new models come up and people are constantly experimenting, a lot of artists really, they don't want to sign for 5 albums anymore because it just seems crazy. Will my label be around? Especially with major labels. It's a shaky proposition to say the least.
It's being replaced. They're still working on sort of figuring out how to monetize it fully to the same levels that it was before. But then again, we're sort of in a recession.
Well,
the recession's coming. There may be sometime in the future a recession.
Well, I will say this: if I or my colleagues had any true insight into how to solve the major labels, we would certainly be making a lot more money than we are right now.
I wish you luck with record label. It sounds really cool. And you brought along a video.
I did.
And tell me about this video.
Well, this video is from, without being too insider baseball, it's from very, very close friends of mine. They are the newest addition to Radiohead's label, so congrats to them. Also, their manager, Aaron, just had a child last week, so mazel tov to Aaron.
Yeah. When's the bris? Is it a boy or a girl?
I only saw a JPEG. Babies. I believe it's
a beautiful baby.
It's a beautiful child.
It's a beautiful child. What a wonderful, beautiful child.
But so anyway, so this video is for I guess the lead single off their first record, which was called Fortnightly. The song is called The Plot. The guys played it on David Letterman over the summer, which is really exciting for them.
And the band's called The White Rabbits.
I'm not sure if the is
White Rabbits.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the is part of the moniker officially.
Okay.
But
that's a tough one.
But it's
gone.
The thing that's tough is that when you Google them, you get a lot of bad Jefferson Airplane covers on YouTube. So be sure to put White Rabbits plural in quotes so you get the good stuff. But anyway, the video is for a song called The Plot, and I was with the band when we tried to do the official version. No one's really happy with it. So their drummer Jamie, who used to play in James Chance's band, which is kind of an interesting factoid, did sort of like a what's it called on Mac's iMovie?
Yeah, or GarageBand or something like that.
Yeah, basically.
The basic in-house software iMovie.
But basically did like a like a cut and paste DIY video for the song, and I think that it's really, I think it really captures the energy of a young band who kind of all move together and live together and just want nothing more than to like be in a band together.
Well, Elliot, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
really,
you can check
really
out
fun.
record label RDLBL.com.